This is a quick tutorial designed to show you how to import an object into GameCore and set up the basic textures for it. We will get into much more detail covering the object surfaces soon. If you're following along from the last tutorial, we'll be using the object we exported and the textures I included in this tutorial and the last. If you're starting from here, export any simple object from any modeling package with some textures. When you have your exported object and its textures, make sure to include in it your object folder created for whatever project you'll be adding the object to. I'm using my tutorials project folder, but you can put it in any project folder you like. I created a new world called objectvid1.wld. I set up the world with a basic unedited terrain and I enabled the skybox. Refer to tutorial 1.1. To add our object to the scene, we will do it similar to the way we add terrain. Click the Add button, but this time select From Object File option. This will open up a file navigator. Navigate to your tired2.fbx. Click Open, and your object is added to the scene. If you notice in the video, I got texture errors. I did this on purpose. Chances are your object imported correctly. Hit the Focus button, which is hotkey F, to zoom in on your object. Mine is covered in ugly pink checkers. This is because GameCore cannot find the textures I use on the object. In this case, it's because they don't exist. Usually it's because they're in a different place that they were called from. Once you add the object to a scene, GameCore creates an .opr file that contains all the code for the object. When you add an object with textures on it, those texture locations are recorded into the .opr file, meaning if you move the textures, you must tell the .opr file where you moved them, or you'll end up with the ugly pink boxes. Now that you're focused in on the tire object and it's selected, click the Object Surfaces button. If you notice in the Object Surfaces window, in Tread, and Wall are listed as surfaces. Good thing we named them, or this could get tricky fast. So let's select one of the surfaces. The Tread to be specific. Click on the Diffuse Map, Ellipse, and navigate to the Tire Tread1.psd texture and open it. 1 pink down, 2 to go. Next, I move on to the tire wall. But in haste, add the wrong texture. Next, I move on to the inner tire wall and add that texture. Then I go back and add the proper tirewall.psd. All three textures were added using the Diffuse Map Ellipse, and all my textures were in my Objects folder. Okay, now that our object is set up with the proper texture, let's hit the Object Properties button on the top right panel window. This gives you access to some of the object properties. Here you can change position, rotation, and some more advanced things like controller script. The only two checkboxes to be concerned with at the moment are cast shadows and receive shadows. Go ahead and check them both. You'll notice that didn't do anything yet. However, it actually did. We just need to set up our terrain to receive shadows as well so the tire has something to cast a shadow on. Select the terrain and hit the Object Properties button. Check the Receive Shadows button. Now their shadows are cast on the terrain. Hey, wait a minute. What's up with that shadow? We have an alpha issue. The tirewall.psd has an alpha channel. The blend mode is not set up correctly to cast a proper shadow. So back to the object surfaces. Once you have the object surfaces selected, select the wall surface. Under the Diffuse Map sliders is a drop-down menu called Blend Mode. It defaults to Normal, which is basically an alpha blend. The alpha blend is not good enough to handle the alpha channel, so select the alpha test option from the drop-down menu. There we go, that's a proper shadow. Well done. Now you have a textured object in Engine with dynamic shadows.